One. There we go.
Well done.
Hello.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Three Grandmas podcast. We're up to week number 8. We're joined with our guest, DanielWilliamClark. Welcome on in, buddy.
Amazing guest.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you very much for having me. Happy to be
Daniel,
here.
do you want to talk about your show? Do you want to talk about your podcast? I'm sorry, your stream a little bit?
Oh, sure thing. Yes. Well, my name is Daniel William Clark, both here and everywhere else in the world, including on my Twitch stream. On my Twitch channel, I typically stream a lot of retro games, a lot of stuff from the old Nintendo, Sega, arcade, and early PlayStation days. My game genre, my game category ranges from everything from Mortal Kombat and Mega Man to Super Mario and Sonic the Hedgehog to Star Wars and wrestling games to Ninja Turtles and Power Rangers to you name it, Resident Evil, Metal Gear Solid. Pretty much, if you got a favorite game series, odds are I stream it on my channel, especially if it comes from the greatest consoles of the 20th century and maybe early parts of the 21st century as well. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Have you played Battletoads on stream before?
I have not played Battletoads on stream. That is a terrific game, but I have not streamed that one as of just yet.
Special request.
Oh my
Yes.
God.
Trying to
Yeah,
throw
dude.
Daniel off. Hold on. Did you fucking
No?
pick the one game Daniel William Clark has not played on Pragpro? That's so crazy, Jason.
That is.
Listen,
Watch out for
I
him,
picked a
Jason.
game
Watch out for him, DWC.
because Daniel William Clark is probably the most wholesome person on Twitch. I want to find the one game that will make him rage.
I'm the
one
most
game.
wholesome. I'm the most wholesome on
absolutely
Twitch.
not.
No, you're absolutely not.
You guys are
No.
like
Get out of here.
Get out of here.
Controversial.
I want to hear it. I want to hear it.
Challenge, eh?
All right.
Interesting. Yes. Let me spend some time in that portion of the game where you have to fly the turbo scooter through that cavern there.
Yeah.
And,
he just nailed you right back.
He
DW
knows.
dark
He
side
He
knows.
knows. It's up
Yeah.
here.
He's
All up here.
he's played it, just not on
stream.
stream. Yeah.
JC, did you introduce yourself? I don't know. I don't
No,
remember.
I was about to do that.
No.
I'm
Don't do
JC. I love movies, and I hang out in this community because these are my good friends. This is my friend. His name is.
No, he's not your friend. Let's start with me.
Not his friend. We're not friends.
Pragpro. No. Time. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
You just introduced yourself.
My Francis Ford Coppola. My Mickey Mouse.
I'm Time. Time goes to waste. I enjoy lots of things, mostly baseball and
What?
games. Not so much videos, but here we are. I'm not a huge movie fan. I don't hate movies. But yeah, here we go.
I enjoy lots of things.
I'm
I'm
a
an
huge movie
aficionado
fan. I hate
of
movies.
certain things. But yeah, that's me.
All right, y'all know me. Still the same OG, but I've been low key. It's Pragpro, Pragpro on all social media. What's the movie this week? Daniel William Clark, take us back to what year was this?
93.
58? Yeah, it was made in 93, set in 58, right?
Correct. Yep. The movie was released in 1993. It takes place in 1962, and it is a movie
Correct.
that just happens to be called The Sandlot.
Sandlot.
Yeah.
Well done.
Thank you very much there. Oh boy, this is a childhood favorite of mine and my favorite family film of all time. If there's one movie that I could recommend everybody watch at least once, whether by yourself, with friends, with your kids, especially with your kids, if you have them, it is this movie right here, The Sandlot. Absolute classic.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Pragpro.
I don't know. I just wanted to say it's great for people who don't know anything about baseball and what it's like to grow up in an analog world where you had to get out the house because there's nothing inside the house to entertain you. Everyone had to go out and play, and that's what we did. We went to fields, and we had a basketball or baseball, whatever, and we self-organized, and it was just a different vibe than it is today. But it's wonderful for people to. It's a very nostalgic film, and of course it's a film, so they're going to play up every element of it because it's a show. But at the same time, they did capture the very essence of the innocence of the time.
I will say I was very surprised that you picked this film, Daniel William Clark. I'm just going to call you Daniel. from keep saying DWC. I'll say DWC.
The fifth.
That's how most people know me.
Please
anyway.
refer
Or
to him as
DWC,
Daniel William Clark.
fine, yeah.
I mean, I like to say
Every single
DWC, you know.
Daniel William Clark. I was surprised you picked this film because you're a big comic book movie guy on your show. You always you're showing the Justice League like Zack Snyder cut. You're always showing the Batman movies. You're a big Ninja Turtles fan. And then when you came out with the Sandlot, I was like, wow, he's picked a film that is very close to my heart as well. I'm just wondering what drew you to this film specifically.
Well, that's a good question. Well, the truth of the matter is, while it is indeed true what you said that I do love those kinds of films as well, I'm a man of many different tastes, and what you might not know is, in addition to being a huge, gamer and comic book fan, I also have a vast background in movies as well, both as a movie buff and, I've even had the pleasure of getting to work on some films as well, and I have an extensive knowledge of a lot of film history, and my tastes have been very varied as well. I'm just as likely to, watch a high octane action comic book film with you as I am to watch a more quiet and sentimental family film. In the case of the Sandlot, there's kind of in the case of the Sandlot, it's actually kind of a unique circumstance because, well, as Pragpro was saying, once upon a time we didn't have all this high-tech digital entertainment available to us,
let alone air conditioning.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, just right.
I grew up without AC, bro.
Yeah, air conditioning, as we know it, really became widespread. So it wasn't just like, oh, it's hot outside, but I'm cool, literally. There was a period of time where a lot of your means of entertainment was by going outside and spending time with your friends and such, and whether it's going to the playground or going to the beach or taking in a ball game and such. And my family is very baseball oriented. My father actually played for the New York Yankees minor league teams many moons ago.
Nice.
And he still has the pictures of when he was on the team hanging up and such, and it's really
amazing.
Always a joy to see. He's been a big baseball buff his whole life as well. He's even met gentlemen such as, Time, you being a Dodgers fan, you might appreciate this. Some time ago, he actually met and, I kid you not, became friends with Carl Erskine, who had played predominantly for the Brooklyn Dodgers and 1 year with the Los Angeles Dodgers as well. And even my mom was a baseball fan. Is a baseball fan as well.
Oh my God, baseball was bigger. Baseball was bigger. It was the biggest sport in the country. That and college football in the 50s and 60s, right? That was about it. And
I believe so. Yeah, I believe baseball was really all the rage during that time and such. And as we will discuss when we're talking about the movie, a lot of legends were around during that time. I mean, at the time, they were just the players of the day. But today, we look back at them as basically gods among athletes.
Absolutely.
Especially among kids, right? They were the superstars at the time. Yeah, for kids.
If you were playing, right? Everyone had their favorite ball player, right?
Oh, absolutely, for sure, yeah. So baseball has always been a part of me in some degree. I've even streamed baseball video games as well. They're like RBI baseball and Ken Griffey Jr. and MLB The Show and such that.
Such great ones.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, I agree.
Time, what is baseball? You a baseball guy, Time? You like baseball? I really don't know you very well. You like?
What do you mean?
What does baseball mean to you?
Yeah. Do you even give a shit about baseball?
No. It's all a facade. It's just a character I'm playing.
It's only like 1,000 hours you put into the MLB a year, right?
MLB The Show, yeah.
Oh, there you go, another MLB Show player.
Did you grow up with baseball?
I did.
Mickey?
I did.
You did?
I did.
Good. Did you ever play Little League?
Not very good, but I played it, yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, that's okay. I'm not trying to play gotcha here. I just want,
So where does this film sit with you, Time? Is this like a childhood classic for you, or is it something?
One of the first notes I wrote, which was the same thing as Daniel said, that this is an essential watch for everybody. I think everyone needs to watch this movie. But yeah, there's quite a few, of these wholesome family baseball movies.
Sport films.
There's, well, baseball in general, yeah. There's Rookie of the Year. That's a good one. I'm blanking on all the other baseball movies right now.
The Natural.
Bad news. Bad news.
Bad News Bears isn't really a family movie, but
Bad News Bears is not for your family.
yeah, it's not a family movie.
That is a crazy movie that will get you
good.
removed from
It's
Twitch.
good. I like it. It's good.
What about The Natural, though? The Natural.
It's about baseball.
The
The
Natural.
Natural, yeah.
What a banger, The Natural.
There was
is,
another
right?
kids movie that was like
Wonder
Rookie of the Year, but
Boy?
it wasn't. I can't remember what it was.
Little Big League?
Well, I was comparing
Little Big
this
League,
to
yeah.
like the
No.
Mighty.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, not about
The kids.
baseball, but like in my head, I was comparing this to films like The Mighty Ducks and
Oh yeah, yeah,
you know,
100%,
yeah, that sort of
Absolutely.
you know, family film,
yeah.
Well, it's interesting.
sports vibe.
The
Yeah.
director, David Mickey Evans. Any relation to you, Time?
No,
You know, are you related to David Mickey Evans? All right.
no.
He directed The Radio Flyer. He directed a great film right before this, a great family movie called The Radio Flyer. Have you guys seen that one?
No,
I have not actually. That sounds
haven't
interesting.
Hold on.
Yeah,
Everybody
surprised
log
I
off.
haven't here. What's that
You
about?
haven't seen Radio Flyer, bro.
How have you never seen
It's
that movie? That's a good
basically
movie.
the Sandlot for like sledding. It's kind of like Christmas Story. It's the same director. He made it a year before this.
Isn't Elijah Wood in it?
Yeah,
right?
Elijah
Yeah.
Wood. It was a really popular family movie that came out the year just prior to this. But he does
Wow.
great coming of age movies. This director, he has made one after another, and another movie he made, which was interesting to me, was Ace Ventura 2. And
Oh, wow.
I didn't make that
Did he make that
connection, but one of my favorite parts of Sandlot.
Hold on.
Right,
Pragpro, I just need to fact check you on a couple of things.
Go ahead.
I was thinking
he
the
didn't-
same exact thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Did he write it?
He didn't direct Radio Flyer. He wrote it. And
Okay,
he
he
didn't
wrote it.
direct Ace Ventura 2. He directed the prequel Ace Ventura Junior Pet Detective, which is a
really okay. Well, I
which
stand
is
corrected.
not
Thank
a
you.
not a well received
say.
film at all. But he did direct the sequel, The Sandlot 2. But yeah, he did write Radio Flyer. He just didn't direct.
Also, to
Richard
further
Donner
correct,
directed
to
Radio
further
Flyer.
correct, Prague, Radio Flyer is not a family movie.
I mean, what do you mean it's
At
not
all.
a family
At
movie?
all. What
Why do
the
you think
main
that?
thing
Starting
is
to
like the
see now
little
why
kid
I've never seen
gets
it.
beat by his alcoholic dad, and he's trying to get away from him.
That's what happens in a family.
That's not a family movie, though. What
What
the?
happens in a family?
Come on, bro.
Oh my god!
It's a coming of age movie. I'm not saying it's a family movie. It's a coming of age movie. Like This Boy's
you said it's a
Life
family movie. You
is a
100% said it's a
coming
family
of
movie.
age movie. Well, because a lot of kids and families are drawn to coming of age movies, even if there are dark subjects that they talk about. I mean, look at Babe. Babe is a family movie. They're talking about eating the main character during the film. There's Charlotte's Web, which is a family movie that deals with death and tragedy. I mean, I can go on and on.
Bridge to Terabithia is about a girl who dies midway through, and you know, and
Bambi.
they're dealing with the
Bambi-
grief of that.
Bambi
Yeah.
starts with the death of the mother. I mean, so I think that's, incongruent.
Yeah. That's one thing I will say is that this guy David Mickey Evans, this film is obviously his baby. Like, it's clearly based on his formative
Life.
years that he went through. Obviously, after this, his career didn't really go very far. Besides Radio Flyer, I mean,
What are
he
you
made
talking
Radio
about?
Flyer before
What
this.
about National Lampoon's Barely Legal?
I mean, that's.
He made it in
If you want-
2003.
On that too.
If you want to call that a banger, then
Or was that the guy who did
Go
Radio
ahead.
Flyer
It's still a
Listen.
movie that he made.
It's
It is
just,
real
a
guy.
movie
it's just
made,
funny.
But it's just, none of them reach the real, like, cult status that The Sandlot does. You know what I mean? Like, that's obviously his, both his magnum opus and his swan song, sort of.
Yeah, I mean,
For
listen, the
his career,
cinematographer
I mean.
carried this movie. The cinematographer, Anthony Barry, carried this movie. He did Legally Blonde. He did Candyman. He did The Sweetest Thing. He did the Get Back edit for the Beatles documentary that came out by Peter Jackson. So I love the
I had no
cinematography.
idea about that. Yeah, I had no idea. That's
man.
really cool that he made Candyman.
Ah.
That
I
he
think it
did.
was
He was the
beautifully shot.
cinematographer on Candyman. Yeah.
Every scene is like a photograph that has animation added to it. I mean, I love how Dennis Leary is presented as very classical, buttoned up. There's a big wall of separation from the the paternal figure in the family and the child, they can't really communicate at all. It's not at all like it is nowadays, where there's this big kind of divide. And then the mother, who was the main ingenue in Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right? Carrie Allen.
Karen Allen.
Yeah, Karen Allen.
Karen Allen. Yeah. Before we get into discussing the film, I just want to talk about where I'm coming from with the Sandlot. Basically, I'm not a baseball guy. I'm from Australia, obviously, so our baseball is cricket. Even then, I wasn't a huge cricket fan, like my dad is. But I will say that I think at some point I ended up getting a DVD. Like, me and my brother, we got a DVD that had like 5 different movies on it. I think it had Baby's Day Out, Bushwhacked.
It's like Fox Searchlight's family
program.
Yeah,
wow,
exactly.
That's a movie name I haven't heard in a long time.
But the movie at the top was The Sandlot. And me and my brother, we would pop this movie on, and it was like, genuinely, we loved it. We loved watching it over and over and over again. It was just, it's just such a feel-good movie for me. And it's, it was like a formative part of my childhood. So whether I have critiques or anything about this film, like, it still holds that special place in my heart for me. So that's where I'm coming from it.
A family movie that is good, that has legs, in my opinion, is a movie that also speaks to the parents, right? Because who's going to be buying it? Who's going to be, the kid might watch it 1,000 times. The parent has to be able to approach it. And I think the fact that the jokes hit in this was important. Like, there's an early scene where he's doing the erector set. He's building the manual erector set, and the mom comes in the room, and he's got like the little steel ball goes, and he goes, bing. I mean, to me, it was kind of dark and kind of hilarious, because it could have literally taken her eye out, because it's a steel ball, and she's cool with it. But to me, that illustrated that there's a lot of knowledge about how slapstick works in vaudeville, and they did a really nice job.
Sure, yeah,
it still holds up too after all these years.
Yeah,
it definitely does.
Daniel,
my parents also were able to relate to some of the things they saw, like even from the fashions that were in style then. Like, my mom would say, "Oh yeah, I had those types of sneakers." My dad's like, "Yeah, I had the Converse and everything like that, and the Keds and such."
My parents were the same.
That kind of stuff. Yeah. And then
PF Flyers and the Converse.
PF Flyers, sure. My dad would say, "Yeah, this is what we did then. This is where we went. What the neighborhoods were like, just like that." Oh, so
you
cool.
Had 2 choices of shoe: Converse All Stars or PF Flyers, and that was it. Those were your outdoor shoes, right?
Amazing, yeah.
and the fact that they were always worried about losing the baseball. They didn't just have money, right? $1 was a significant amount to them, right? So they're constantly concerned about the status of the one ball. I think that's kind of tells you a lot about the time.
Sure.
So this film, it opens with narration from David Mickey Evans. It's his voice, not the actor that plays the older version of Scotty Smalls. It's David Mickey Evans' voice. So he's telling us this story. Normally with films, I get a little irked out by narration. I think narration can become a very shorthand tool to tell a story. But I think it works here because you can tell that the main voice is obviously super nostalgic for this time period. You can feel it in his voice, and I think it really works for this film. I love that it opens with him. He's at the stadium. You're not really sure what his job is yet, but I like that it starts there and then it goes back, and he talks about, and he keeps hammering home that we got into the biggest pickle.
Right. Everything's big. Everything's huge when you're a kid, right?
Yeah.
Every little problem is a huge problem.
Well, that's just it. Yeah, when you're a little kid, everything is big right there.
I love it.
Exactly. Yeah, I think it's great. I think it opens really solidly. It leads you right into the film. You straight away want to know what these little kids got up to. Yeah, and the score. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Great. Yeah. I love the Ray Charles version of America the Beautiful during the fireworks scene. I would have loved to see that in the theater. This movie was a small movie. For, they made it for about $7 million. It ended up making like
34 million.
Yeah, but when you
34
add
million.
the VHS and the worldwide numbers, we're up to 70. 76
Yeah,
million.
yeah. Well, that's what happens when something becomes a cult classic,
Yeah, absolutely. And worldwide, and the VHS was taken off at that time too. In '93, I think vast majority of movies get seen. You rent them at Blockbuster or wherever. That's where you see most of your movies in '93. That's where I saw it, and it really got legs from that. But I think the cinematography for the fireworks display was wonderful, and the very family vibe, the block parties and everything's laid out perfectly. It just sent a very Norman Rockwell-esque perception of what was going on, the good parts of what was going on, and what was great about growing up in that time period, right?
Yeah,
absolutely. In my case, it was also kind of timely too, because what you just said, Pragpro, about like block parties. It was during that time when I was experiencing my first set of block parties, because years ago we used to have block parties outside of our house maybe once a year or something like that, and it started up around this time. So I was like, oh, okay, now I get to experience what the kids in the movie were getting to experience there. That's so cool. So it kind of hit home in more ways than one for me in that regard as well. Yeah.
I was watching when they were doing the block party, and I was like, "Why don't we do that anymore? That's such a nice community."
People get too crazy nowadays and get drunk and fight. And back then, it's like 2 beers and everyone was fine. Obviously people drank too much, but it was just a different
American dream, baby.
It's a different vibe.
I'm going to tell you guys a little story, if I may.
Please.
We'll come back to this in just a moment. But on the note of block parties, though, do any of you guys remember the Spike Lee movie Summer of Sam?
Yes.
I haven't seen it, but
I have seen it.
I know of it.
I saw that in the theater, actually. I do remember that film very much.
Oh, there you go. Cool. Yeah, for those who don't know, it's a movie chronicling the summer of 1977 in the Bronx, New York, during the time of the Son of Sam killings and such. That was David Berkowitz. And I was actually a background extra in that film.
Nice.
And one of the scenes that I did was... I should preface this by saying also, from what I was saying before about, like when my parents, me and my parents stuff and our upbringing, I was born and raised and residing in the Bronx, New York. I'm a lifelong Bronxite. And
my family's from Yonkers, so I know what that's like.
Oh, there you go.
That's
Yonkers,
just north of the Bronx, right? That's the city north of the Bronx.
Right. That's it. Yep.
I'm sorry for interrupting.
That was one of the... Oh, it's cool. That was one of the scenes that I got to be in, and they did several different takes. That was in the finished film. That's the part where the angry mob is going through the streets yelling, "We'll get you, Son of Sam! We'll get you, Son of Sam!" And I was there in that scene, and it took... When you watch the movie, it's like maybe the cumulative amount of time they show that scene is maybe 20 seconds or so. But we were out filming that scene for about 2 hours right there.
Sure.
And we were supposed to pretend like it was like really hot, but it was actually freezing cold on this night. Right?
That's the idea. Filmmaking. God.
It sure is. What I'm getting at, though, is that was another, although it was an artificial block party for the sake of the film, it was a block party setting nonetheless, and we treated it as though it was a real block party. So
Absolutely.
I'm like, this is fun. It felt like I forgot after a while. Oh, wait, we're shooting a scene, right? But yeah, I love block parties, and seeing that anytime I see a movie in which they show them and such, it's always a pleasure to.
Did you grow up with block parties happening? Sorry, did you grow up with block parties happening? Daniel William Clark, was like that a thing in your childhood? I know Pragpro would have been, but
I mean,
yeah, like it wasn't like super often and such, but it happened enough times for it to have earned a solid place in my memory, though.
It's definitely a thing.
Yeah,
I love Summer of Sam because it's also a baseball movie. They always have they have so many intersectional about the '77 Yankees and Mr. October. Reggie Jackson was cooking, right?
That's right.
He hit back-to-back home runs in multiple games.
Tom's shaking his head.
Yeah, he had 3 home runs.
The cheater.
Time's not going to be pleased to think about this. Like, oh gosh, Corey. But yes, the New York Yankees were indeed playing against the Los Angeles Dodgers in the 1977 and then 78 after that World Series.
What a great
movie! The 77 series where Reggie Jackson hit not 1, not 2, but 3
3.
dingers right over the outfield fence and made some solid history right there.
Carried them. He was carrying them.
How'd he cheat, Time? Tell us. How'd he cheat? What's the conspiracy?
He used to stick his ass out and get hit by pitches.
He didn't get hit by the pitches that he sent over the fucking fence. I'll tell you that.
He's a cheater.
Let me tell you, I don't know.
I know what he's talking about.
Cheater.
They covered that on one of the baseball blooper tapes that we have here. Tommy Lasorda was actually narrating that, saying,
Shout out to Billy Martin
for an interference call on that.
I like with this film, I like how they open like explaining how, not explaining, but like showing just how much of a dork this Scotty Smalls is.
Yeah, but that's a problem. Like, that's a problem because that's not accurate information in the beginning of the film about Babe Ruth's
What do you mean?
shot. Well, let me tell you the facts. All right. In the movie, opening scene, adult Scott narrates that Babe Ruth's called shot happened in the bottom of the 9th inning in Game 3 of the 1932 World Series with a tying run on base. This would imply the Yankees were down by 2 runs at Yankee Stadium in the Bronx. However, the game was played at Wrigley Field in Chicago and was the top of the 5th in a 4-4 tie when Ruth hit the called shot. I'm a Yankee guy. Listen,
not getting what he's doing, he's reading a goof from.
It's the first
IMDb.
scene. It's the first scene.
He didn't know this. He's reading off a goof from IMDb.
I knew there was a problem as soon as I heard it. I knew enough to look it up.
Yeah. Well, I think I might have an explanation as to why that might be the case. I think. Oh, did we lose JC?
No, he's good.
He's
good.
Still
got my voice. It's just
he'll be fine.
Cameras.
It's the internet in Australia. It's not great.
I think I might have an explanation as to why that is. A lot of this movie sort of envelops Babe Ruth in a sort of legend sense. So a lot of what they're going by is like legend has it that this is how it went. And remember, this is being told through the perspective of Scotty Smalls. And, neither in 1993 nor in 1962 did we have the public internet just yet. So it wasn't easy to just go on and say, is that when it happened? Because since the advent of the public internet, a lot of these legends have more or less been able to dissipate to some extent. Some live on, but a lot of them have been dispelled for the most part. However,
but still, I don't understand why they made that choice in the film, because they must know the fact, and they could have told the story in the same way. But at the same time, I do agree there's that veil of nostalgia, and maybe that's how he remembered it, and he's recounting his life story, his childhood. So let it be. I agree. It's no big deal for me.
But calling your shot in a 4-4 tie in the 5th inning is not as good as calling your shot to win a World Series.
I know. That's why I was like,
even the calling your shot is something that's been something of a topic of much debate. Like, did he really call his shot? Because
probably
a lot
not.
of time you see the picture and it's a little more than just you just see Babe pointing over there. Was he actually calling his shot, or was he just saying like more over that way or something like that? You know, only Babe would know for sure. Only the man himself would probably know for sure. But the legend was able to perpetuate. The legend was able to grow as a result of that. So, like you said there, I think it might just be a case of he's looking at it through nostalgia goggles. Maybe he's building it up more than it was. The story goes. He even prefaces it by saying, the story goes.
As the story goes,
throughout the full count.
To further play into that also is that something I noticed too, like towards the end of the movie, is that it's all being told from the viewpoint of like a kind of like a, of a child who remembers all these things, and they're embellishing everything. So when they see the dog, Hercules, you see his paw is huge.
Right.
You see his mouth and his face when he gets closer to Yaya is huge. But then when they actually show him, he's not. He's big.
Yeah,
but
he's
not
a regular sized dog. Yeah.
I know the actor who played the dog.
Very good point there, Time. Yeah. Benny Rodriguez even describes him as, he's a giant gorilla dog thing that already ate one kid. And you're watching it thinking, really? Or something like that.
They show the bones next to his house, and they were huge. Like rib bones, gigantic bones.
Right.
Yeah. And they weren't even right about. They weren't even right about the dude that owned the dog. Like they just got every single part of the story wrong. But
I guess they figured they embellished one thing. Why not go all the way?
Exactly. But that's
the Mastiff was played by a pair of dogs. They were raised in Montana, And I only got the name of one dog, so the other dog's a mystery. But Gunnar played the role of Beast, who was renamed Hercules at the end once they bonded. Please continue.
That's good to know.
Fascinating.
Is it?
It was a
Thanks
wonderful
for that one.
performance. I think Gunnar gave a wonderful performance by that dog. There was a lot of complexity. I was afraid, and then I felt endeared. The fence fell on him, and I'm like, oh my God, somebody help the dog. We got to get that fence off him.
Yeah, he really sold being trapped underneath the fence there. That is a method acting dog right there.
I'm saying this is a good dog because the dog had, and the dog looked injured. It looked injured.
There was one big inaccuracy that I didn't like at the very beginning of the movie.
Here we go.
It was right after the beginning. Yeah. It was right after they do the whole Babe Ruth whatever, and they show kids playing. Is that what they were doing? They were showing kids playing baseball, and they were doing like the pickle, the rundown, but they were doing it all wrong, and that bothered me.
In what way? Explain to someone who has never watched a baseball game in his life.
So the way a rundown or a pickle, as it's called, is the way it happens essentially is you have one person stuck between the base that he's going to and the base he came from. So you can do third and home, first and second, whatever it is. But he's stuck in the middle, and you throw the ball back and forth, to try to get him. After a while, that's not going to work very well because the guy's just going to outrun you, or if you just, whatever it is. The best technique would be to imply a third person. So you have the person who has the ball first, you run him back to the base that he came from, and you throw it, and then you throw it to the base that he came back from. If he was able to decoy him and, get past it, then you have a guy behind you that is backing you up, and to get another call, and you're just chasing the guy back to the base. That's all it is.
Are you saying that Benny Rodriguez is not a good player? He just got lucky.
No, he's a great player. He's a great player.
His problem was with the fielders; they weren't set up correctly. Because if you're playing baseball, you have backup, right? If you're throwing a ball from anywhere, you always have a person behind each person. Because if the ball gets behind you, it's going to keep rolling. So you have to have security essentially behind.
But later in the movie, they do it right, and it's like, okay, see, that's how you do it.
Yeah, but I think they were drilling. I think they were drilling the speed, the pickle. His play. He was training his agility. I don't think they were as worried about backing each other up. They don't have enough players to do that.
You do it right, you don't do it at all.
All right, fair enough.
Do you think it's intentional that they they're talking about the like they show the pickle of Benny Rodriguez, but then they also talk about how they got into the biggest pickle any of them have ever seen. Do you think that's intentional? Did they do that on
Bring
purpose?
it up so much, so probably, yeah.
Yeah, nice little correlation right there.
They want to show off his speed. They want to show off his capacity later in the scene
when he's pickle, and then you get into the pickle, and it's like, see what we did there?
They keep mentioning it, and then even at the end when he meets Babe Ruth, he's like, so you want me to go down there, jump the fence, and pickle the beast?
Yeah.
It
says. I see what you mean about how Benny seemed to undermine the pickle attempt a little too easily there. If I could put this into another sport context, if I could put it into a wrestling context, this was the movie's way of getting Benny Rodriguez over, and the other team.
You're right. And they got him over.
As a team of jobbers, so to say.
They got him
whereas
over.
the Sandlot crew that we follow throughout the movie, they're the superstars. But Benny, he had to go over on this team.
You
got
to make Benny look strong. You're right.
You're right. Square circle.
Absolutely.
Also, they do things like you can't knock the canvas off the ball. You cannot physically. And they have a big scene where he hits it so hard that the ball explodes and everything. It's it's nostalgia. It's
a fantasy.
It's a fantasy. It's magic. It's all these wonderful things from our childhood. Right?
I love the wardrobe choices they use for Scotty Smalls at the start of the film, like that enormous hat, that enormous cap that he wears. Where did he find that?
I was expecting it to get bigger as the movie went on.
As the movie went on, longer.
All the kids were great. All the personalities came through.
Yeah.
It's tough in an ensemble, but they really all came through as being different people, and they all had their own little joke lines or their own little pieces. Like the fat kid who was the catcher was talking shit at the plate. That was hilarious. They did a great job.
And I
He did a
love how
few
they
sports
characterize
movies, I
Benny.
remember.
Yeah,
Go on. Sorry, Daniel.
I was just saying he did a lot of the kid who played Ham. He did a lot of sports movies. I remember he did the soccer movie, The Big Green.
Big Green. Yeah.
He was a goalie in that one. I'm like, hey, it's Ham. All right.
Well
Yeah, I'm
done.
trying to look up his name.
Yeah.
I can't find it. I'll
And
find it.
I'm surprised he didn't do a wrestling movie, at least not that I know of that he did. Because
The Great Hambino.
precisely,
Great
yeah.
Hambino, yeah. It's good.
Yeah.
Good. But yeah, also like the shorts that he had up to his waist and just like everything, it's like painting him as just the biggest dork you could possibly have.
Right.
He didn't know
And
how to throw, and oh man, it made me feel bad. Like
yeah, that
secondhand
part was
embarrassment.
jarring for me too. It was like he doesn't even know how to throw. I mean, he seems like an otherwise smart kid, but his baseball sensitivities are.
I got a sad story.
Forget baseball. You can't even just throw it like that. Later on, Benny asked him, "Has he ever done a paper
He's doing
route?"
this whole thing where he's like setting up, and then he's like,
Yeah, then it just
changing
plop,
legs,
just like
yeah.
that.
He's trying to dig his feet in. He's like,
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Fun fact: the real
And he's
Squints
like woefully out of
sued
touch
the
on a whole lot
production.
of things too. Like he doesn't understand not just baseball concepts, but he doesn't
Right.
understand like what he doesn't know what a s'more is or something.
Yeah.
It's like
That
He
was
just
wild.
hasn't been outside at
He hasn't
all.
been outside.
he didn't
Yeah.
know
He
who Babe
He
Ruth
hasn't
was.
touched grass.
Yeah.
Right. He's an example of a kid who, he's got a lot of great, even his mother tells him as such, that he has a lot of great book smarts, but not in these words, she doesn't say, but not as many
Sure.
street smarts and things, a lot
Sure.
of common sense smarts and such. So he's great when it comes to studies. I mean, obviously he knows how to work the erector set and everything
Absolutely.
like that. But
Yeah.
in terms of just, going out there and socializing and such, he's something of a neophyte, basically. Yeah.
Something interesting happened in this film. The real Squints, the real person who played Squints, ended up suing the filmmakers of this because they said that the pool scene made him look really bad, and he sued them for tens of millions of dollars, and it was eventually thrown out. But that's kind of interesting.
Wow, that's really interesting because I feel like the film paints him in a very positive light.
I was
Well,
going to
he
say,
just
I
wanted to
thought
get
that
some
made him
money.
look like a hero more than anything else.
Yeah.
That was a very delicate scene, right? Because if you think about the context of it, it's a girl and a boy, and they could have really messed up how they handled that
Yeah.
scene, and they did a nice job because I like the way she drags him out of the pool at the end when essentially
right.
stealing a kiss by pretending to drown, and she's doing CPR, and he's stealing a
His
kiss.
stupid fucking smile too when he
Oh
wakes up.
my god,
Let
it
me
is
tell you
so
something.
funny.
He should have won an award of some kind for
Just
that
for
face.
that.
Yeah, it was
For
really
that,
funny.
yeah.
Camera's right in his face, and he's just doing that.
It's the
And-
biggest
Like that,
smile,
I'm like,
and they're all like,
oh my gosh.
"What?"
When me and my parents watched that for the first time, we were howling at that
Yeah,
part
it was
right
really
there.
so
Oh,
funny.
man, that was
That was
funny.
so
Even
funny.
Ham's reaction was funny too. It was like,
Yeah, they were all great. All those kids were great.
And then
What is
I can't remember who it was. It was Timmy or Tommy. He goes, "Oh man, he's in deep shit."
oh, that was Timmy. Yeah, that was Timmy there. Although
Yeah, it's so
that
good.
same scene was one of the rare times when Tommy actually says something on his own with no prompting from Timmy.
Yeah.
He says, "Squints,
Yes.
come on, man." For
Yeah.
for context, there's two kids on the team on the SANDLOT team called Timmy and Tommy. They're brothers.
Mhm.
Timmy's the older one. Tommy's the younger one, and Tommy mimics everything that Timmy says. He
Timmy
repeats
says,
whatever he
yep.
says, and that actually is focused on very much so in one part where a ball is hit over the fence.
The Colossus of class.
Exactly that part too. And Timmy is saying like, "We don't." Tommy goes, "We don't. It's history. It's history. Kiss it goodbye. Kiss it." Timmy goes, "Shut
Kiss
up,
her
Tommy."
You could feel the chemistry between the actors too. That group of boys.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a 43-day shoot or something, but it felt like those kids had really been playing for years together and hanging out. But I think that's kind of a natural thing that young men can have when you put them in a group and everyone is on the same page. We're doing this thing. There's a camaraderie that comes through, and there's all that. I mean, it seems like they bonded really clearly, and that sold the movie a lot because you needed that.
Excuse me. Oh, 100%. And I'll tell you something too. Again, another reason why this film came out at the perfect time for me was because during this time, I would regularly get together with some of my friends from the neighborhood, and we would like play basketball together. I used to have a basketball hoop in my backyard, and we'd actually meet every so often in my backyard, and we'd have like whole leagues and such like that. It was a great time. Or we go to the local schoolyard and play baseball. Before long, we started calling ourselves, in light of this movie, the Sandlot Crew. And we started saying, "Oh, hey, we're like the real Sandlot Crew right here. All right, who's Smalls, who's Benny, who's Ham, who's DeNunez, and stuff like that." So this was great. And eventually, we said, "You know what? We got to have a movie night." So we all got together and watched The Sandlot one night, and it was perfect.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a warm film. I could feel the energy there, like when they're getting ready to play under the lights on 4th of July. That excitement, that jitter, when we used to go out to play, or you're going to go play basketball, or there's a high school game, or any competitive thing that you're involved in, that emotion, that feeling, that butterflies in your stomach, you felt that. I think that was amazing.
Yeah. I just want to ask, I did have a question, because they say that they have one night game a year on the 4th of July, right? Because the fireworks are bright enough that they can play on the pitch. Do you guys not do fireworks on New Year's Eve? Is that not a thing in the US?
They do it. Listen, they do it nonstop here. They'll do it on a weekend. There's no reason. We're gonna blow stuff up. We love it.
Even back then, so that made me think, like, wouldn't that be another day that they could play baseball at night?
Back in the day, it was really expensive to do fireworks. So a little community like they're portraying in the valley of Southern California, which kind of looked exactly like where I grew up in San Jose, and they did film some of the neighborhood scenes in Novato, which is in the Bay Area. So I could, a lot of the architecture I recognized, and the layout of the neighborhood was kind of similar to how I grew up. But it was expensive back then. And
you said it takes place in Southern California, or they filmed it in Southern California?
They filmed it in northern Utah. They filmed it in northern Utah, but they filmed. But if you look at, but they did film some on lot, and they did film some, like the neighborhood, some parts of it in different sections of the state. Not a ton. But it was interesting to see how northern Utah looked very similar to California too, though.
Yeah, you were saying, sorry.
Also, the fireworks give you a crazy amount of light to play baseball at night, because when you're a kid and you play at these little baseball fields, a lot of them aren't going to have light there for you.
No, there's
and
no
if they do
light.
have lights, they're not going to keep them on for you. So it's like it's another excuse to play baseball at night, which you don't obviously have. You don't have a lot of opportunities to do that.
A special event. Any special event for a kid is literally a special event. Nowadays, a special event is just another thing. But you really appreciated the specialness of special times.
Sure. And playing under the light of the fireworks makes you feel like a superstar right there. It's like, you could easily say to yourself, this is for us right here. This is meant for us. I mean, it's the 4th of July, but no, they're doing this to illuminate our game even more. So this really makes us feel like the big leaguers now.
Yeah.
And for Benny, and Smalls even says that, like all the other kids, we just wanted to stop and gaze upward at the fireworks and be in awe of their beauty. But Benny, he had other plans. He wanted us to play underneath the fireworks and such, because Benny was the workhorse of the group in terms of, I got to get as much baseball in as possible, where the other kids just wanted to be kids. I mean, they went along with Benny, sure, but Benny was the one who spearheaded it right there. Like, sure enough, when he comes to the door and knocks on Smalls' door, and he's like, "Let's go, come on, get your glove, come on." Smalls in that moment is thinking, it's nighttime. What's he talking about? It's like, what's the big deal? Night game. Come on. It's like, night game? But Smalls doesn't even ask a question. He just says, "Mom, I'm going out." He grabs his glove and off they go. But,
And I love the way that scene is shot, like where it shows all of the kids like looking at the fireworks, and then you see Benny run behind them, and it's just like, I can't tell if they actually lit fireworks to light up their faces, or they just had like lights in the background that
I don't think
that
they're
lit
looking
up
at the
their
fireworks,
face.
though.
They are looking at the fireworks.
No, they're looking at the home run that Benny hit.
No, they're not looking at him. He's in the background. They wouldn't
look at him. He hit a home run, and they're looking at the ball.
Well,
at the night game. That's not true. No, they're admiring the fireworks.
Well, that's the thing there. He hits the home run, but because the ball travels in the direction.
they all
that it
caught
They
does,
it.
look
we
up,
upward
right?
toward
That's
the
the
fireworks
So
lit
they're not
sky.
looking at the fireworks.
Yeah.
The fireworks illuminating their face.
Precisely.
No,
It
but they're
starts them
actually
following
looking
the
at the
ball,
fireworks.
and it gets lost in the
Looking for
fireworks. and now
continuity
they're controlled by
police
the
are here.
fireworks
But
there.
he literally narrates that they would watch the fireworks while Benny ran the bases. Like that's
Absolutely.
what
Yeah,
the
it's
film tells you.
right.
Right.
That's just the
and
conceit.
exactly. They did.
As a kid, I would do that. Like it makes sense to me
Oh,
because
sure.
he doesn't
sure,
care
yeah.
about the fireworks. It's his life, right?
I mean,
Right,
they're
Benny.
doing
Yeah,
both.
Benny. He's just running around the bases, like you said, and they're watching the fireworks. Well, I don't even know if he hits a home run because we do see the ball drop right before it transitions into the next scene. Beautiful transition, by the way, very seamless.
Yeah.
It goes from night to day. But we see the ball roll along the grass, and they're still looking up, and then finally squints, looks down, and goes, "Oh, right, there's the ball," and that kind of snaps them out of it, and then they go back to playing. But the thing is, though, that for the time the ball was up there, put it this way: if you're playing baseball, you hit a pop fly straight up, and it just so happens there's a spaceship up there. Let's say, right? Let's say one of the ID4
UAV?
alien ships from Independence Day suddenly appeared overhead.
Oh
Yeah,
my God.
your reason for looking up is initially because of the ball. But even if the ball drops next to you, you're going to keep on looking up because, holy cow, what is that thing that I'm looking at right there? Well, this was the case with the fireworks as well right there. Yeah, the ball went that way in the direction of where the fireworks are. So the kids are understandably now hypnotized by the fireworks. And Ham even goes, oh, man, look at that. You know, it brought them out of baseball mode and into I'm a young kid on the 4th
that's
of
how they
July
remembered
looking at
it.
the fireworks mode.
Right,
And
that's how
then they
you
see
remember
the ball,
things.
and then that's what whips their minds right back into, oh, that's right, we're playing a game, and Benny's still running around the bases.
That's how memory works, right? Because there's a lot of scenes where they obviously hit the ball to left field or right field, and then the camera cut will flip, and the ball will be traveling to right or what. But that's not important because it's about the nostalgia, and we all live in this reconstruction of our memories and time and space, and we often are certain that we remember something happened to one of our family members and to us growing up, and then you'll talk to your brother or sister and you'll say, remember when this happened? And they'll go, no, that's not how it happened, blah blah blah, and you're certain. You would testify anywhere to do it. That's how memory is, right?
Yeah,
Sure.
and I think the film plays out like memories, like because every single like little aside, they're like little vignettes about the time, like of his childhood. Like it's just they did this, and then they did this, and then we did this, and then we did this. Like you go to the aside about them versing the prep school kids. That show up at the Diamond and challenge them to a baseball game, and then we move to like the pool sequence when they're at the pool, and then we move to the carnival sequence where they're all chewing on tobacco and they throw up on the.
That's a great scene too.
It is a great scene. But I really like the dialogue during when the prep school kids show up and they're like arguing with them, and just the way
that kid was
react
funny.
to the
That
insults.
kid was great.
Yeah.
That kid he was cooking them up pretty good. That was really funny. The prep
You
school guy.
booger eater, snot fodder.
Yeah.
We play on a field with grass and dirt. We have a real field.
Yeah, we got a functioning scoreboard. We have our own uniforms, and we have helmet earmuffs there. We're so above you guys.
Fucking rich kids, get out of here.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
And they
And
had
I
that
love
song playing, which I wouldn't find out until years later. It was called Green Olives. That's the song. If you say the name of it, you might not know what it is. But once you hear it,
Once you hear it,
you hear that bass and everything. It's like, that song.
I thought I recognized it. Yeah.
it was
Yeah,
a
to
great
this day,
score.
every time I hear it, I go, up, Sandlot music. There you go.
They pick some interesting songs because sometimes they'll make a score. Like there's a film like Remember the Titans, where they'll put every song on the score that you would expect them to put. And one of the things I liked about this film is that sometimes it came at me a little differently, and it was a song I remember. It's again playing on nostalgia, right? Like I remember the song, but I don't know exactly the author of the song or what the title is. But that's how memory is. It's almost like how Terrence Malick does movies. There's so much nostalgia in this.
Yeah, that's actually one of my dad's favorite movies. Remember the Titans? He's seen it a bunch of times there, and
That's
I've seen it a
another
couple
one.
of times too. Great movie, very good.
I like also when they're playing against the prep school kids and Ham's like distracting him while he's playing baseball. Is that your sister out there? Oh, she's
right. Working them on the plate, distracting them.
Yeah.
That's one of the funniest scenes.
It's so good.
Your sister's out there. Your sister's
calls
naked
his
in left
strike three
field.
out before he even swings. I was waiting for him to do a Leslie Nielsen thing.
She's
like,
not wearing anything. Yeah.
Not wearing anything. What's going on?
I was waiting for Ham to right before he even gets it. He goes strike three, you're out. Then he swings. I was waiting for him to do Leslie Nielsen from the Naked Gun, strike, and then get up and start dancing and everything.
And they have the helmet protectors too, because they didn't have hard plastic helmets back then. So some, if you had money, they had like leather strap things, right? But other Sandlot kids didn't use that.
Right. And then when it's the Sandlot kids, when it's their turn up at bat, and they're just like wrecking the ball one after another, bang, bang, bang. Even Smalls gets a good hit off of them, and he slides in well. And then they're playing that other song. I don't know the name of it, but the song they played during that's the song that pops into my head every time I see a team in any sport rallying and getting hit after hit or score after score or play after play. That's the song that pops into my mind now.
There's no tension from baseball in this film, which is interesting because usually in a sports film you have that tension between the two teams and they meticulously shoot the game and everything, but all the tension comes from the us versus them reality of a group of underdogs, and they face the dog that they're afraid of, they face the parents. It's never the baseball that is bringing any tension or stress to these boys. It's always the things around the baseball.
That's a good point, actually, and that's something I think it's pretty easy to overlook. I mean, it's easy to say, to describe it as, what's the Sandlot? Oh, it's a baseball movie. It's like, yeah, there's baseball in it, and that is a part of it, but it's so much more than that. Just like how you could easily say that Rocky is a boxing movie. Well, yes, but that's only a part of it.
It has so much more. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, the baseball takes the... Go ahead, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you look at the scene at the carnival and the scene at the pool, like, they have nothing to do with baseball, and they're big chunks of the film. Right. But they talk, they're more like they're painting a picture of the entirety of this time period and growing up in this time period. Like, kids didn't just play baseball. It was obviously a big part of their life and a big part of David Mickey Evans' life. But obviously he has a lot of other memories that have nothing to do with baseball that he did with these kids that were important to him, like the pool, like the dog. I do wonder if it's like how much of it is autobiographical. Like, was there really a dog in a backyard that and he met a famous baseball player that played with Babe Ruth who gave him a ball signed by the entire team? Like, who knows?
I'm sure at least some of it was autobiographical. Maybe not certain parts, like maybe
you gotta punch
famous
it up.
people he met, but like this is what it was like for him growing up.
Yeah, because
and such.
You got to make it fit in 90 minutes, right? You have to get the cherries and then cover them in chocolate. Maybe the cherries were not covered in chocolate when he had them, but for the movie, you got to put chocolate on the cherries so they taste the best, right?
Did we like Did we like the scene where Ghost Babe Ruth showed up in Benny Rodriguez's bedroom and gave him a pep talk about
that actor? He was so good.
Yeah,
I don't
Art
recall his
LaFleur,
name.
Yep, he was the babe.
Yeah, it was Art LaFleur. Yeah,
I feel like they wanted to hire De Niro, but they couldn't get De Niro, so they got LaFleur. But he was great. He was really great.
He was a very good Babe Ruth, I have to say. Yeah, he really did a good job.
He's a famous character actor who plays tough guys, and I looked at his, his films, and he just shows up as like a character in a few scenes here and there, all through the 70s, 80s, 90s, and he's a W.
Yeah, he definitely is. Wasn't he also in one of the Santa Claus movies? I think he was the Tooth Fairy, if I'm not mistaken.
He's been in
something like that,
yeah. Like, hey, Babe Ruth is in this one. All right.
I think he's in the second and third Santa Claus,
I love when in between giving advice to Benny in the dream, he picks up a trading card, or you don't really know what it is at first. He picks up a picture and he kind of stares at it with interest. And then he's like, all right, well, let me tell him what I need to tell him. And then after he gives Benny the inspirational message, telling him what he needs to do, he looks back at it, and we see that he is looking at a trading card of Hank Aaron of Henry Aaron. Then he says, Henry Aaron. I don't know why, but can I have this kid? And then he says, sure, yeah. And that's supposed to be like little kids watching the movie might not get the significance, but adults who follow baseball, like my dad saw the party,
still
like,
don't get it.
okay, I get why they did
Time.
that. I get it.
Time, can you explain that one for me, please?
Henry Aaron played like 3 years in the big leagues and really didn't do much. Yeah, I honestly don't know why they included him in the movie. He's kind of insignificant. Sorry.
I'm not going to stop him.
For a while, he was he's the home run leader of baseball. He hit the most home runs.
He broke
in all of baseball.
record.
But what significance is he to Babe Ruth, and why is Babe Ruth
broke his record.
looking at it and going,
He broke the all-time home run record when Babe Ruth had it for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Like in his lifetime? Like, was Babe Ruth alive when that happened?
No.
No.
Okay. Okay.
No,
so it's just a little thing. All right.
Yeah, he's like,
That
I
makes
need to
sense.
remember this guy.
It hadn't happened
He's gonna break
yet
his record,
at the time of this movie taking place. Not at the time of the movie having been out, but during the time that the movie itself was set, it had not yet happened. But so it was like Babe Ruth in this dream had a premonition of something without knowing what it was. Like, there's something about this guy. Yeah.
Was Henry Aaron playing at the time?
Yes.
1962.
Yeah.
I believe he was.
Young.
He was, yeah.
Yeah.
He played for the
can I
Braves,
also-
Milwaukee Braves, and then Atlanta Braves.
Can
That's
I
right, yeah,
also
they were
just give
Milwaukee Braves, yeah.
Can I give
Yes.
so much praise to James Earl Jones in this film? Like,
Sure.
I know he's only in it for about 5 minutes, but for some reason, he just puts his all into that role. I feel like
No,
in
he's
that
great.
one scene, like he adds so much like history and layers and everything. Yeah, yeah. Like, you really feel like he's been through this like long life, and he was friends with Babe Ruth and all of this stuff. Like, he just did such a good job in that one scene. Yeah.
All the adult
wanted to
actors,
shout out
all the adult actors
James Earl
had
Jones.
minor
Absolutely.
roles, and I think they all did a great job. Dennis Leary did a great job because he wasn't mean to the kid, but he was also, he was like on that line, right? It's like,
Yeah.
is he an
It's like-
absentee father? Is he a good father? He's like, he's just a busy father, right?
He's a busy father.
and
Yeah.
Small
And it's
Steven
not his
says
kid.
that-
and-
Right,
Well,
and he
that's
was
tension.
like he was his stepfather. He was Small's stepfather, and there was that dynamic of, well, we were still kind of getting used to each other. I was still calling him by his regular name then, rather than calling him Dad. He was feeling me out, I was feeling him out. They tried bonding over playing catch before and such. They tried finding ways, and then that's what makes the ball, the Babe Ruth ball, the more significant. The Babe Ruth ball is like a very important part of this movie. For those who need context, Dennis Leary's character, Smalls' stepfather, has a priceless baseball autographed by Babe Ruth, and
Given
at
to him
different
by
points
his
in the
father.
movie, it was his father, right? His father gave it to him. Right, that was it. There.
Yes.
Right.
Correct. Yeah.
So
Babe Ruth played
at one
in the
point
30s
in the movie,
and the late 20s.
Yeah.
that sounds about right. Yeah. At one point in the movie, the kids are playing ball, and Benny busts the guts out of a baseball by giving it a real whack.
Right.
And,
Tears the cover off it, literally.
Exactly.
Right?
Tears the cover off the ball, and Smalls catches what's left of the ball, and they're all gathered around. And this is another iconic part of the movie, in my honest opinion. There's only a couple of scenes where they do this, but they all gather around and they all are in a circle looking down at the ball or whatever object is in question there, and they're trying to decide, all right, what do we do from here? I guess
Very
that means we're done for the day. Yeah, there you go. Very Tarantino-esque there. And then they and then they just decide, well, I guess that means we're done for the day. We can't play no more. And Small says, oh no, we could still play. And then Benny Rodriguez says, why, you have some money left at home for us to get to get another ball? He says, no, I have a ball.
You have 98 cents lying around?
Yeah. Exactly. I have one lying around there. And this is where the big pickle that they've been alluding to all movie long starts to take shape right here, because Smalls goes home and he grabs that ball and he brings it out completely ignorant to what it means. He doesn't know anything about that, it's the significance of it. And they play with it, and to rub salt in the wound even more, as Smalls actually says in a line later on, Smalls actually gets to be up at bat for this next sequence of events right here. So
He tells him, he goes, "Your ball, you're ups."
precisely, yeah. Then he tells him, "Your ball, you're ups there." So
you're ups, yeah.
Kenny Denunez, the pitcher of the team, he pitches the ball, and Smalls gives it a Mike Piazza style kaboom, and over the fence it goes.
Piazza.
Should be a great moment, right? I mean, here's a kid who just a few weeks ago didn't even know how to throw a ball, let alone hit it for distance. But instead, he hits it over the very fence where. Yep, the fence where James Earl Jones's character, who owns that previously alluded to
massive dog, yes,
precisely, happens to be, and where many a baseball has gone to disappear off of the face of the earth. And now here's Small saying, "Okay, wait a second, what did I just do? I hit a home run, but I should be thrilled right now. But that's my stepdad's ball." And of course, everybody else in the team is like, what's the problem? Don't worry about it. They're thinking, oh, it's just another ball. Don't worry, we'll get another one. It's cool. But then
for my Australian viewers out there, just imagine if your dad or your stepdad owned a cricket ball signed by Sir Donald Bradman.
Oh my God, Sir Donald.
Sir Donald Bradman. That this is like that level of carelessness.
It gave me anxiety just when he touched the Babe Ruth ball. The fact that he put his fingers on that priceless ball. That ball probably. Right. What would that ball sell for at auction today?
It'd be worth more than life itself, probably.
I mean, how much do you think they could get at auction? Millions.
Number one, and draw comparative prices. I would say
it's like it's priceless. It's basically life-changing money.
Yeah.
Crazy. I love when Ham is like running up, and he's like, "Dude, third base is that way," and he's still pointing to it. He's like,
"Smalls,
you didn't make your turn. You didn't make your turn.
Yeah. Right. Third base is that way."
And you can tell the kids really did play baseball because they you can tell when somebody knows how to throw a ball and hit and stuff like that. But they probably let them play during the whole filming, which I hope so that they could develop that chemistry so they look like real team.
I remember I did the behind the scenes featurette on the DVD, I believe it was, and it does show them just like recreationally playing ball and such. So yeah, they at the very least knew the fundamentals and such, but I think they probably even got to polish them even more as they played because you're playing baseball. Bear in mind this is a movie here, so they do the scene. All right, pitch the ball, hit it, great. That was take 1, take 2, take 3, take 4, take 5. By the time it's done, they probably feel like pros.
Yeah.
They look like they were having a ball. Those kids look like they were happy.
Yeah, absolutely. The kid who plays Benny Rodriguez, Mike Vitar, he only did like 2-3 other movies and then retired really early.
Mighty
Ducks,
firefighter, didn't he?
Yeah, he became a firefighter. Exactly. Yeah, but I believe he was they picked him because he was handsome, but also because he was a really good baseball player. I believe
he was a good actor too.
Yeah,
he was great. Yeah. I mean, none of the performance took me out of it.
No,
it says right here in my research that an autograph.
He's got
from Babe Ruth in his playing days could be, which I think is criminally low. It could bring in between $60,000 and $100,000.
Shut the fuck up.
That's it.
That's
low. Yeah,
there's got to be real auctions. People have auctioned the ball off before. There's other balls that have been auctioned, so maybe that's where they get the price from. Maybe he signed a lot of balls. I don't even know how many are out there. That's the question, right? Honus Wagner card is worth more, right? Because Honus Wagner's rookie card is the most valuable card.
An autograph ball from I don't know, Roger Maris or something like that.
How much would that ball signed by the entire team cost these days? I'm sure that would be like
it's all about rarity. It's all about rarity. How many are there, right? Because the Honus Wagner rookie card is the most valuable collectible essentially of all time because there's so few of them and they didn't print very many of them and it was on a box cover and you had to cut it out just right and it has to be perfect. And if it's signed by Honus Wagner, who's considered the greatest shortstop of all time. He was the stolen base leader for a long time before Ricky Henderson broke it. And I mean, that's the card right there. But if Babe Ruth was signing them all day, every day, which sounds like he did,
Yeah.
It could be less
Interesting.
rare.
Here's a fun fact about autographs. You guys might know this already, but for anybody who doesn't, if an autograph, whether it's baseball, book, 8x10, or what have you, is personalized, like if it's two Pragpro,
It's worth
two-time,
nothing, right?
Right.
it's worth bupkis right there. It's worth absolutely nothing. You could say that it has
Yeah.
personal value, like okay, it's valuable to you, but in terms of like, can you bring it to auction? No, it wouldn't be worth anything. If it does not have a personalized, if it's not like personalized to any one person, if it's just their signature, then it has value. Me
Right.
personally,
Which I
when
think
it
is
comes
silly.
to what's that?
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, I think that's really silly because I feel like personalized messages like tell a story from a time period. Like I don't really understand why it wouldn't be worth more because I feel like it tells a story. It tells a personalized story. I think
Is there anyone
in
from
terms of
Sotheby's in chat?
Well,
I think it's at least in artistic value or sentimental value. I know it's obviously more sentimental for the person, but I feel like historically I still think it speaks for a time period and it should be worth more. But
I mean, it depends on the
Well,
I'm not a
scarcity too.
historian.
I
mean,
get where
there's
you're
got to be
coming
some
from.
really
I
scarce
get what you're
things.
saying. Like if he signed it to Johnny, love Babe Ruth, something, there might be some intrigue. Like, ooh, who's Johnny? Who's this Johnny he was talking about?
Right.
So I get where you're coming from and such, but like, if you bought a ball at auction and it says to Johnny, you look at it, and if you want to have it as a conversation piece, people would look at it and be like, who's Johnny? Who's Johnny? Like, are you going to legally change your name to Johnny so that it fits you or something like that? But
Yeah.
I'm sure there's like certain protocols when it comes to autograph merchandise.
I mean, I'll tell you what. When I was a kid at the San Jose Giants Single A team, which is the minor league club associated with the San Francisco Giants, and my dad and I used to go to the games all the time because it was essentially free to get in, and the stadium was really nice, and you got to see guys going up to the majors. And Willie Mays was there one night, right?
Wow.
And they were giving out balls at the stadium, and it was covered in plastic, and I was like 7 or 8. So I had no idea what the fuck was going on. My dad's like, "Go, that's Willie Mays. Go over there, bring him your ball." And so I bring him the ball with a plastic cover on it still, right? Because I don't know anything about signing or what's going to happen. I just come up to him and say, "Here," and then he's laughing with his buddy who was there because the plastic was off. But he was so sweet. He took the plastic off and signed it for me, and he was great. And it was just it wasn't a line of kids the whole game, but it was like once in a while they gave him enough space. One kid would go up, and it wasn't the parents, but because if Willie Mays was at that game today, it would be adults. There'd be pushing. There'd be like, I gotta get that. It was just a different vibe.
Yeah, they just honored his birthday recently too, Willie Mays.
Yeah.
They were doing a whole bit of coverage on him on the MLB network. I think even the Yes Network was covering it too. The Yes Network, for any non-New Yorkers, that's the New York Yankees channel on cable.
He might be the greatest 5-tool player of all time if you take fielding, base stealing, leadership, hitting for average, RBI capacity, homer. If you take all of those things, for the time, and of course nowadays they hit the ball so much. Like Barry Bonds, did he not obliterate the Hank Aaron record? Is that the current record holder? Is it still Bonds?
He's the overall record holder.
Yeah, I mean they just
70.
they just destroyed the record books.
How much? Exactly.
That period of time when they were starting to use testosterone and HGH and all. I mean, it's not a secret. They changed baseball very much, but people who know who Willie Mays is, he's an amazing. Kind of like Ernie Banks or one of those guys.
Yeah. But then just a couple of years ago, a modern day New York Yankee legend, Mr. Aaron Judge, had hit 62 home runs in the season and topped both Babe Ruth's and Roger Maris's records. So
that's crazy.
Well done, Judge.
People don't know about Mickey Mantle and Roger Maris had an amazing summer where they were going back and forth trying to beat the single season home run record, and every day they were just cooking up home runs.
I have
and
no idea what you guys are talking about.
That was
Roger Maris. two Yankees,
This is
Mickey
mystified
Mantle
right now.
Mickey Mantle and Roger Maris.
Just hearing names. You
don't know who Mickey Mantle is? Mickey Mantle is. Oh wow!
Really?
Okay.
The only baseball players I really know are like
who's famous in Australia?
Barely anyone. But
Babe Ruth, right?
I know the Rube Waddell because they did a Dollop episode on him.
Right, Dollop does great baseball history. If you DWC. If you like baseball history, they have a wonderful Billy Martin episode in 2 parts on a podcast called The Dollop, and you can get that on Spotify. You really enjoy that. They really go in deep about all the behind the scenes of the Yankees. It's hilarious.
Oh, that sounds cool. What's it called?
The Dollop, DOLLOP.
Dollop?
Yeah.
Okay, The Dollop. Oh,
Yeah.
thanks. I'll look that up.
Yeah,
They're coming to Australia this week.
That'd be great.
Yeah, I know they were in. It's the 20th anniversary. It's It's an American history podcast, but sometimes they'll do they'll do Australian stuff, and they do a lot of baseball stuff because one of the hosts is a baseball fanatic.
Baseball fan. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Really
But the Rube Waddell's story was really interesting. So I enjoyed that.
And
But
when
yeah, I
the
know
guy
barely anything.
The guy who pitched the perfect game on LSD. That's another episode they do.
Oh yeah.
What was his
that
name?
one as well.
What was his
Doc
name?
Ellison?
What
Doc Ellis? Is that what it is?
there was a guy named Oil Can Boyd. I don't know if you remember Oil Can Boyd.
Boston Red
DWC.
Sox, yeah.
But he would have a full conversation with himself on. We used to go to the Oakland A's games because my dad was a Yankee fan. I was a Yankee fan. He later became a Giants fan. But anytime they were in town, we always made it a point to go up to Oakland because, and then we watched Oil Can Boyd pitch, and we had pretty good seats that time. But it was an amazing. If you watch the film from him, he just never stops talking to himself.
That's
And he
true,
was a really
actually,
good
now that
pitcher.
you mention it. One of the World Series that I've watched countless times is the 1986 World Series between the Boston Red Sox, of whom he was pitching for, and the New York Mets. And when they show Oil Can Boyd on camera, he's not. You don't even see him talking to any one person. He's just like
Never stops. Audible,
like that,
loud.
yeah.
If you could hear him in the stadium, talking
You could hear him?
himself
Wow.
through everything. And what he's doing, he's not talking shit or anything. He's talking himself through what he wants to do, because evidently in sports psychology, it's a very powerful thing. Like if you're an archer or a baseball player, to get yourself in that rhythm, keep yourself in.
I wonder
guys,
if that's where they drew inspiration for Kevin
JC,
Costner's
log off.
character in For Love of the Game, another great baseball movie, if you ever saw
yeah.
that one. When he's
Oh,
on
yeah.
the mound, he's on the verge of pitching a perfect game, and he's telling himself, all right, come on, what am I going to do now? Nah, curveball's no good. He's no good there. All right, I'll just throw a fastball. Boom, like that.
How about Bull Durham? That's another great
Bull
baseball
Durham,
movie
another
that we
great
didn't
one
talk
there,
about.
yeah.
Major League.
Major League, right? With
With the
about
wild thing.
Cleveland Indians.
Yep. I hate this song.
Field of Dreams. You seen that
Field
one?
of Dreams.
Oh yeah, Field of
Field of
Dreams.
Dreams is great.
Great. I love The Natural. I think Robert Redford in The Natural was so great because it's a very minimal kind of film. There's not a lot of dialogue. There's a lot of big scenes, and they really take you to that time period and how important baseball was. There was no NFL. The NBA was like there's 3 or 4 teams, and if you live in Boston, New York, you're interested. But most people were interested in college football, and Notre Dame, Army, Navy, a couple other schools, Michigan. But baseball was it. Everybody knew everything that was going on in baseball. Everyone knew. I mean, even if you didn't watch, you knew who the stars were. You knew who won the World Series. It was just huge.
Absolutely. That may have been one of the first baseball movies that I saw, The Natural, and even that iconic theme music there, it will stick with you forever. That dun, 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 like that.
And then they have that scene where he takes Wonder Boy out, and it's in the World Series, and he crushes the lights.
Yeah.
I mean, what isn't that the greatest baseball scene of all time?
Oh, for sure. Here we are talking about Benny Rodriguez busting the guts out of a baseball. What about Roy Hobbs smashing the stadium lights out right there? You got to be sure you have a really good stadium insurance policy when Roy Hobbs comes to town.
Here's another one. How about 8 Man Out? Have you seen 8 Man Out?
That's
about the
great
White Sox?
Yes,
That movie is
yes.
fantastic.
Right? That's a banger, right? Who's
It
in
really
that
is.
movie?
That movie actually
John
has
Cusack.
John Cusack. Oh my
John
god.
Cusack, John Mahoney from Frasier, Charlie Sheen.
That
It's
might
got
be
a
the
really
best
good
one.
cast in it.
That might be the one
got a
because
great cast, yeah.
it's the intersection between the crime that goes on and the
Is
social.
it the 1919 or 1918 Black Sox? I can't remember what year
turn
it
of the
was.
century, right? But
Yeah.
they show how they did it and how, all the mafia stuff, and it was just interesting.
It explains how one of the greatest players of our time got banned from baseball. Shoeless Joe Jackson.
Shoeless Joe Jackson.
Crazy.
That's right.
Crazy.
I will say that movie has one of my
fault.
favorite lines in any movie. When John Cusack throughout the movie, he's talking to the neighborhood kids who, because he's a big baseball star, they're always wanting to chat with him and such.
Right. And he does too. It's great.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And this is after the the court case happens and word gets out about what the team's been involved with. And he had mentioned that he didn't partake in any of that stuff. And the kids ask him, why did that happen and such? And he says, well, kids, when you grow up, sometimes you make some really bizarre decisions. And then the kids say, well, how come you never did any of that? And he says, I guess I never grew up. That's one of my favorite lines, honestly. In any
It's a good line.
I never grew up.
Yeah.
It just showed how down to earth they were back then, because they all live in the neighborhood. He's just like a plumber or an electrician or any other working class job. That's what baseball was, even up until the 90s, essentially. You're just a blue collar worker who travels an amazing. That's the hardest thing about baseball, is that especially when you're coming up in the minor leagues, you're on a bus, you're on a plane all summer. It's hot. It's just a constant travel. People think it's super easy and everything else, but it's the travel that gets you, right?
Oh, for sure. That's what lessens the strength of a lot of athletes there, the travel and keeping up with media appearances and things like that. And like you were saying there, my dad and I were actually just having a conversation about this not long ago. In those days, baseball players, they had other jobs in the off season. They worked in factories. They did all kinds of other things, even going back to the days of Don Larson's perfect game in the World Series for the Yankees there. They had regular jobs in the offseason.
Yeah, they weren't getting paid very much.
They can live off of being a baseball player, and they're getting paid contracts that start at ridiculously high amounts.
Which is better, because the players should be enjoying the majority of the fruits of the endeavor, right? Because they're the ones doing it. That's who the fans are coming to see. Nobody's, the owner is the owner, but people are there for the team, right? They're part of the team, and it's very important that the players get the fruit of that, because if they get injured, that's the other thing about professional sports. If you really hurt yourself, it doesn't matter how your potential was, you might have to live on that contract for the rest of your life, right? If something really bad happens, like, if you get brain damage, you get hit in the head, or, especially when it comes to football or something like that, where, they really do a number on you. So it's important to get your contracts right.
Oh, for sure. Definitely.
Agreed. So, Pragpro, would you recommend The Sandlot?
Of course I'd recommend The Sandlot. I can't believe we're trying to wrap this up. We should be going for hours and hours and hours. No, I love The Sandlot. Listen, it's just the good thing about The Sandlot, I think the most important thing is the fundamentals that it establishes: the score, the cinematography, the ensemble cast. It allows you, if there's a little incongruence with the story about Babe Ruth, or there's a little scene that you don't like, you allow all that stuff, because it takes you to such a warm place. It's almost like a blanket or a comforter on a cold evening. It's like, it may not be ideal, it may not, but right now it feels really good.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I love it. That's 82 out of 100.
What would you recommend it? Time Goes to Waste.
100%. 100%.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I would rate it 95.
Just show it straight in the number. No explanation.
Just throwing numbers out.
No.
Frank did it.
I can't give any film a 95.
What are you talking about?
I don't give any film a 95. That's crazy. Nobody can make a 95.
We're trying to wrap it up.
We're talking about the speed of light.
Trying to get you out of
Why do we always got to wrap it up?
You got to wrap it up.
Well,
where
you got to be?
I have to go. It's Mother's Day. I got a lunch. We're going to lunch. But yeah.
Jesse, you're going to trigger me.
That's right.
Trigger me. My mother's not with me anymore. My mother passed away. How dare you bring up Mother's Day?
DanielWilliamClark, would you recommend The Sandlot?
Gee, let me think. Upon further reflection of this, I think it's an absolute bore fest. And yes, of course, I would recommend it. 100%, 10 out of 10. Absolutely solid movie. This film is just so good. It's so enjoyable. Baseball may be what a lot of people remember from it, but just like how a lot of us have certain, anchors to the memories in our lives. Like, I remember a lot of my own personal life experiences through the video games I was playing at the time. Yeah. As funny as that might sound. Scotty Smalls in this movie, he remembers a lot of the experiences he had as a kid through the camaraderie that he had with his friends in the Sandlot and all the other adventures and misadventures that they had. And it's a movie that to this very day, I think back on very warmly, and I actually think it's one of the most quotable family films of all time. Everything from "You're Killing Me, Smalls" to "Biggest
You're
Pickle
killing
of
me,
all
Smalls.
time,"
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I kind of got reminded of it all over again pretty recently, actually, about a year ago when they were doing a Subway Series game, which is when the two baseball teams from the same city play against one another between the Yankees and the Mets. And one of the Yankee players, Isaiah Kiner Falefa, or IKF for short, stole home. Much like how,
Right.
well, I said, and I posted on Twitter, I said, holy cow, somebody actually stole home? When's the last time that ever happened? And my friend Will had tweeted a response
Ricky
to me.
Henderson.
He said, I saw a kid in the 90s do that once. And what does he show? The clip of Benny Rodriguez, now as an adult playing for the Los Angeles Dodgers, stealing home. And Scotty Smalls, now as an adult, saying, the Jets stole home. He did it.
Well
Vince
done.
Vince Coleman used to steal anything he wanted to. Remember Vince Coleman from the St. Louis Cardinals? That's back in the day when they had AstroTurf on the field. Like there was a lot of stadiums, like in Montreal, and they just painted cement on the floor, and so the ball would go so fast if they hit a grounder, and he could make it home off from first or anything. They would steal like 150 bases a year, or some crazy number, back in the day. Ricky Henderson, Vince Coleman. Even guys like Molitor and Trammell used to steal 30 bases like it was nothing. It was just a different small ball type of game.
Sure.
I also want to apologize for my technical difficulties. It seems like my internet receiver for my computer has just completely died, so there won't be any visual of me this time. But
It's all good.
But thank you guys for being patient with me, and
Yeah,
absolutely.
I'm
I'm really glad to have had DanielWilliamClark on the podcast. From the start, I've wanted him on here. I think he has a great voice.
Mickey said no, but we had to really push him. We pushed him for about 7 months, for about 4 months, and he's like, no shot.
He's lying.
Doesn't like the Yankees. No, I want him to come back. You're going to be our second guest.
I do kind of have my terms here.
Yeah.
Well, I was very honored to. I'm very happy to have been a part of this, and my experience, I can definitely say on this podcast, has been a real grand slam.
It's a W.
Good
I can't wait
one.
to have you back.
Yeah,
We're
well
going to have all of our guests back a couple times. Hopefully this podcast goes for 1,000 episodes, and we can have everyone back and do bigger things and smaller things and break into little groups and do 1-on-1s and 2-on-2s and 1 versus 3s, and there's no rules.
Survivor Series style 8-man elimination tag matches.
There you go.
And things. Yeah.
Absolutely. JC, do you like this movie?
I loved it.
Right.
I'd absolutely recommend it. It's a childhood classic. I think everyone needs to see it. I was surprised that my parents don't even remember watching it when.
What was it like growing up for you? What was it like when you grew up?
Well, I might make a movie about that at some point, but
was the vibe the same way? Were kids playing outdoors in Australia when you were growing up, or was it very insular?
No, we were more. It was very playing video games and like going into each other's houses and playing video games and stuff was more my childhood.
Absolutely.
But it's still, you still have the same sort of camaraderie that these kids had. So you still feel it in that sense.
Like the clubhouse scene, like the clubhouse scene, right? When the vacuums blow up and the dusk, and that's a fun scene.
Yeah,
absolutely. Next week, I'm excited for next week because it's my pick. And I've chosen Quentin Tarantino's The Hateful Eight. Not sure how these boys feel about it, but I'm looking forward to reviewing this film. I won't get into how I feel about it, but because that's the.
Do you want to give it a score? Hold on. What about the Sandlot score? You're not giving us a score.
I'd probably 75. I think. Okay. I think objectively, it's like no Stand By Me, but it's good. Right. It's really good. Yeah.
You have a problem with that time? You want to go in on him or what? No.
You didn't give a score.
Time is like I do.
Yeah, I did. What did I give? I gave
I'll save that for off air.
Didn't I give it an 80? I give it an 80. I think an 80 or an 82.
Did you give it a score?
He's a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, I give it a flawless victory as my favorite game series.
100 out of 100.
I
don't give 10. So listen, you can't get a 90 out of me, let alone a 10 out of 10. The 10 out of 10 hasn't been made yet. I need them to have something to work for. It's like the speed of light. You can't go the speed of light, but you can get very close to the speed of light.
I have 10 out of 10s.
You can make the Kessel run in under
Um,
12 parsecs if you're a certain caliber right there.
Good
I
one.
know. Listen,
I
maybe we
like
need
it.
a special chart for all of our score systems since we all use different itineraries, and my 100 is different than your 100, which is different than a 70. If I give something a 70, it's a good movie.
Yeah.
I'll mail them to you. My score,
no.
like
Thank you.
like a chart, like sad face to happy face chart.
What's your favorite
Like-
cricket movie?
I don't have a cricket movie.
There is none.
Are there cricket
There is none.
movies?
They don't make
I don't
those.
know. Are there
don't
even
think
cricket
there's
movies?
any.
If there
Just
are,
But
Just
remember,
by a couple
America
of
makes the
Americans.
movies. America makes
just
the
got
movies,
caught.
bro. You guys have
well,
the money.
listen, nobody wants to watch a cricket movie, my guy.
We have better cricket music though than
well, like a
baseball.
certain,
music.
Our
like
cricket
a certain
music,
Ninja
absolutely.
Turtle once said, "Nobody understands cricket. You got to know what a crumpet is to understand cricket."
Oh my God, Mickey, did you hear that?
That's such a
He
good
referenced
quote.
Turtle from Entourage.
Entourage.
You love Turtle?
I don't know what that
God.
is.
Do you
Yeah,
think
John
that
Giamatti,
Time
she
Goes to
knows
Waste looks
exactly
more
what I'm
like
talking
Turtle, or does he look more like Francis Ford Coppola? Go ahead and put
So-
a 1 in chat for Turtle, 2 for Francis Ford. Please, JC, continue. I'm sorry.
John Giamatti in chat has said a little chart of all the movies reviewed and a coloured star for each person to put on where they rate it 1 to 10.
I like that. Maybe we
I'm
should
gonna
get something
print
in
it
the
out.
Discord. Can we get
I'm gonna
something in the
send it
Discord
through.
going? We have a Discord. Everybody, please join our Discord and go in there and put movie stuff. Feel free. It's a fun little Discord, and we just want to talk about movies.
Thank you, everyone, for listening to the Three Grandmas Yap podcast. This has been an absolute blast. Thank you for coming on, Daniel William Clark. It's been an honor. This
Likewise.
has been
Thanks
great.
for
I'm
having
sorry
me.
that I
When
haven't
does this
had
come
the image
out?
the entire time.
When does this come out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube?
Saturday, probably next Saturday.
You
Sure,
have to wait 4 to 8 weeks.
This is going to come out Tuesday, all right?
You're gonna have a
Tuesday,
red
I'm
carpet
lucky.
premiere.
Tuesday.
and
Mark it on
everything.
your calendar. Tuesday.
Tuesday,
okay.
for you guys.
Daniel, you want to shout out your channel one more time so everyone knows where to go after this?
Oh, certainly. You can find me at twitch.tv/DanielWilliamClark. That's CLARK, no E. If you want to chat with me over on Twitter, I could be found at Daniel W. Clark DWC. And those are the best places to find me right there. All right. Look forward to
You've been
hearing from you.
streaming?
Mm-hmm.
You've been streaming a lot? What's going on with that? Are you doing GTA RP? I saw
I was doing
today.
GTA RP today.
You
Yeah, that was
doing
fun.
Last of
Wow.
Us?
I'm playing Last of Us Part 2, playing that. And then I
He's
started
loving
GTA
it.
RP.
An
It's
affiliate
okay.
run, right? You're close to becoming an affiliate. Is that correct?
I think just one more day. That's it, yeah.
Oh my God! we should
Hey,
have an
congratulations,
affiliate party.
man.
Thank you. So it
Well
happens.
deserved. Very good.
One thing you have to know about Time is he just absolutely loves politics in games. It's his
I
favorite
don't.
genre.
Go to his chat and bring up
He
any
loves The
political
Last of Us Part
subject.
2.
I don't.
He
I
will
don't.
pick up the
Time.
baton. He
I
knows
don't.
so much. It's
Uh-huh.
crazy. I brought up something about Ecuador the other day about the monetary system, and he's like,
didn't?
He's like
Definitely didn't
Belize,
say that.
and he's like
Definitely didn't
Nicaragua
say
has
that.
this currency,
No,
but there's
he
a
didn't say
He's-
forex
He's
interface,
like
and
a
I don't know what he's
political
talking about.
Wikipedia. It's crazy.
He's a dictionary.
Wow.
JC,
There you go.
you're not streaming, right? You're not
No,
streaming
I'm not,
anymore.
but you could find me at just on the Discord, the Pragpro's Discord, Pragpro's
He's
Discord.
like an angel.
Yeah,
you can find him.
I'm
You can
in the
find him there.
community. You see me around.
find him there,
You see
too.
me around.
He's everywhere. He's ubiquitous. We're gonna
You
fix
saw
his
my face
internet.
at the start of the
We're gonna
film.
get him streaming. We're gonna fix the internet. It's gonna be okay someday.
This is gonna be interesting because I'm gonna have to get a new internet receiver to actually upload it. But
We're gonna do
'cause
that.
this one's broken.
Can we
Anyway,
get a GoFundMe going in the chat right now? Can I get everyone to send a money order for
I can't believe
$2.50
it
US
broke
to Perth?
midway through the podcast. It's unbelievable.
That's funny.
Bad
Anyway,
infrastructure. Can I
thank
shout
you everyone
myself
for
out?
watching.
Wait, hold
Yes,
up. Can I
Pragpro.
talk about my
Pragpro's
channel?
gotta do his shout out there. There you go.
Pragpro. Pragpro.
And
That's
Pragpro
Pragpro.
never talks about politics.
No,
Never.
I don't
No.
care for civics. I don't care for
he's
all the
apolitical.
mess. I don't
definitely
like
not
to
a
get in.
fascist.
I don't like to
Definitely not.
argue. I don't like jokes. There's three things you should know about me. I don't care for politics. I don't care for jokes, and I don't like to argue. And I don't like confrontation.
And he hates playing music in the background. He hates it.
I hate music.
Hates it.
I hate
Can't stand it.
anything cultural or intellectual, anything that requires thought. I just turn off your brain. I don't want to do it. Just give me a bowl of SpaghettiOs and put on something on the TV. I can just shut my head off. That's all I care about.
Crazy. You're describing everything time likes. It's wild.
I am not. That's
SpaghettiOs.
that's defamatory. That's defamatory. You're gonna get sued like Squint sued the production of The Sandlot, and we're gonna have to settle out of court. And I'm not interested in doing that. I'm on Twitch.
Wasn't there a theory for a little while? This is just a quick little aside. Wasn't there a theory for a little while that the kid Squints was actually the younger version of Marilyn Manson? I feel like I remember that.
Wait, what?
Like there was a conspiracy theory that Squints from The Sandlot was like Marilyn Manson when he was a kid. I think I remember that.
Wow,
yeah.
I heard of that.
But it was obviously
that's
debunked,
nostalgia,
Yeah.
right? That's the memory. That's how memories work, though, right? I'd love to make. They've made 2 sequels to this. I haven't seen them. Was The Sandlot 2 and 3 any good, Daniel?
I saw them. Sandlot 2 felt like a redo of the first one, right down to having David Mickey Evans come back to narrate it. It was pretty forgettable. Sandlot 3 was actually okay. They even it was a few years later. They brought Squints back, including his same actor too, Chauncey Leopardi. I'm saying it wrong there. They brought him back, and
Luke
Benny
Perry.
Rodriguez comes back too. I think it's a different actor though.
Luke Perry.
And they're kind of like training the next generation. So that was okay, but Sandlot 2 was pretty unnecessary.
Did
I
they
would
put
say.
Luke Perry from Beverly Hills 90210 as in Sandlot 3? I was reading. I don't know. It's supposed to be a Disney Plus show. They're trying to make a TV show, but it got derailed by the COVID pandemic. They were trying to work on a Disney Plus TV show, and they still might.
Yeah, because that was a Fox movie, wasn't it? Sandlot and Disney owned
20th Century Fox. Now they,
there you
I
go.
think they bought the property, and they're trying to figure out how to make it like as good as the Karate Kid show, which I think did a great job of reigniting that nostalgia and brings you back to that time. And if they could do that with the Sandlot and modernize it and have all the great jokes and the flavor, and if they do it right, it'll be excellent.
That could be pretty cool. Yeah. In the meantime, if you look on YouTube, you could see the New York Yankees, the modern day New York Yankees, reenacting some of the scenes from the Sandlot. And they do it pretty good too.
Oh my god! Can you put that on our Discord, Daniel? I would love to see some of that stuff on the Three Grandmas Yapping About Movies Discord page.
Absolutely, we'll be happy to. Yeah.
All right, JC has to go. He has to go watch cricket or something. He has to go cricket.
All right.
I don't know what that is. It's like a paddle, and there's like 2 guys, and there's like a 50-foot-mile stadium, and I don't know. It seems like a lot of noise.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us here. This has been such a great pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you for thanking me.
We're out. Good job, everybody. Well done. It says we're still recording. Oh, okay. Okay, cool. Why is it saying that? Yeah, it was good. I had fun.